Good morning, one and all. This is not just a greeting, it signifies a hope that the beautiful morning will bring a smile on your face and happiness in your life. So I wish each one of you a very lovely and beautiful morning and welcome you all to the IIEBM's induction program of 22nd batch Ignite 2021. I am Professor Neeraj Kumar Sathone from Placement Cell, your host for the session. The session will be of an 1 hour 15 minute, where first 1 hour will be knowledge sharing and rest 15 minutes will be for question and answer. You can type your questions in the chat box, which will be addressed at the end of the session. It is not about ideas, but it's about making ideas happen. And who else can explain it better than our today's guest, Dr. Baljit Sidhu. He will talk on leveraging IT as a business enabler in India's realty sector. So let me introduce Dr. Baljit Sidhu. In academics, he have completed his PhD in IT management as well as he have completed MBA in systems. He worked with leading global MNCs and eminent Indian firms as a CIO for over 28 years. Currently, he is a co-founder and global delivery director at Infocort Technologies, a startup company in IT service space. Sir started his journey with Deepak Fertilizers and Petrochemical Corporation Limited as a manager systems, then with MCure Infotech Limited as a project manager, then with MCure Pharmaceuticals Limited as GM, IT and SAP head, then with Vishay Component as IT head, then as a VP at Panchashil Realty, and now working as a head at Syngenta. He have a keen interest in academics. He had been on academic council and advisory board of MIT and Amity Business School. He is a PhD co-guide with well-known universities. Sir is having keen interest in guiding research students. Now over to you, Dr. Sidhu, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Neeraj. Hello, everyone. Big hello to all the attendees and member of faculties, although I'm not able to see them, but I welcome you all and greetings and good morning from me. Neeraj has already briefed about me. Of course, not the words that I would really like myself to be introduced with, but yes, I'm humbled. And let's get going. Actually, hope your morning starts on a good note. I'm not going to try and not going to bore you with all the IT jargon and stuff. And although my subject relates to realty, but there's a disclaimer. I'm not a real estate professional. Rather, I'm an IT guy who understands how IT can be used as a tool for business in various sectors. And today's talk is about real estate sector. The subject is, the topic of discussion is leveraging IT as a business enabler in Indian realty sector. Now, IT, as we all know, information technology is a business enabler all across. But this sector is of particular significance for India for various reasons. I have put down a few of them why this sector is important in the subsequent slide. How IT is basically being used, or how IT is supposed to be used in the coming years in this sector is the part of our discussions today. So let me move on. I'll be basically I've structured this talk in the following manner. A bit of introduction about the sector. What is the IT landscape as we know in this real estate sector? To what extent this particular domain has adopted IT? What are the contemporary trends? And a few use cases that I put down through my experience and discussions with professionals in both IT and real estate. What would make them actually be more efficient if they are able to find answers to a few cases that I've mentioned here, and a brief roadmap that I thought would help the industry to actually arrive at an optimum level of efficiency, and then we can take the questions. Right. So let's do a bit of deep dive. The realty sector, as we know, is what it means. It is essentially not just real estate, but real estate as well as construction, right? Not just the land bank, but of course it covers residences, commercial spaces, retail sector, hospitality, retail as in malls and things like that, or hospitality is basically hotel industry, um, and of course various entertainment spots, industrial infrastructure like your airports, your bridges and stuff is infrastructure, industrial sheds or industrial facilities, technology and corporate parks. You have so many IT parks around, you would have seen in your cities and places. This all comprises of a realty. So when we are talking about realty sector, we are covering all of them, right? Now, why this sector we feel is very important? Because I'm not sure if you all know, this is second largest employment generator in India after agriculture. Yeah, and it is growing so rapidly despite the COVID pandemic that we have faced for last two years or so. It is still growing at a decent pace. Of course, there have been setbacks, but the projection said that we will grow by to 1 trillion by year 2030, and this is the fourth largest sector in the country when it comes to attracting foreign direct investment. It currently contributes around 5% or so to India's GDP, which is projected to grow around 13%. Maybe it will taper down a bit, as I said, because of the setback, ongoing issues. But yes, you can see how promising this can be. Which of course means if there's an increased share of GDP, which means there's more industrial activity, there's improving income level, improving urbanization, which also means that careers, futures of guys like you seems brighter. So this sector also aids the entire economy in India. That is why this is considered to be one of the most important sectors of our economy. Going by that, the government is also putting in its support. They are setting up smart cities, affordable housings through PPP route. Relaxations have been given in FDI norms. More MNCs are picking up spaces for back office operations in India. I work with few of these such companies who have back offices in India, and they are massive. They are state of the art infrastructures, spaces. So this all is basically is the outcome of how far India's real estate sector has reached. Now talking about IT, this was to set the context on the realty sector. Now we are talking about how IT has been deployed, or what are the generic IT applications and tools that are available for various functions in this sector. For those of you who don't come from the IT sector, you don't need to really worry about it. I'm just touching upon the domain areas where IT can be used, say project management, or they do estimations of the projects, even in landscaping, designing. These are very domain specific areas where IT is playing its role in terms of sales, in terms of leasing, or managing facilities, designing facilities, all this where IT is playing its role, offering different tools, different technologies. This is being used by most of the, at least top-end companies or mid-segment companies as well. Another area is enterprise applications, where you have the HR system, the ERP like SAP or like Oracle, or even real estate specific ERP applications, even customized ones. from security perspective, or let's say an IT park attracts a lot of visitors every day. So they have also put in visitors management application. A lot of documents, legal documents are generated through document management system, generated and managed rather. Then there are shared resources like your email, like your messenger, website, intranet, customer portals. These are the applications that, in fact, every industry usually requires. In terms of office productivity, now these are shared resources. You can say even MS Office is a tool. Like you use word processor, spreadsheet, presentation tools, like the one we are using right now. These are the ones that are being used, of course, even in this sector. And then the infrastructure to go with it. You have end user computing in terms of laptops, desktops, and all of that every individual uses. Then you have the network devices, audio visual, video conferencing tools, a lot of storage you require to store your data, your legal file documents, your investment related documents, your day-to-day transactional data, all of that. So storage devices are being used for that. Then you have printers, scanners, plotters. Your designs are printed. Some documents are scanned. Even you can print out your collaterals, brochures, and things. Then, of course, connectivity, because without connectivity, no organization survives these days, because we live in a global village, as we call it. So multiple locations are connected, or you are connected to your partners, to your vendors, to your investors through the networks, right? And of course, with all this, of course, we need to look at the security aspect. The firewalls, your emails are scanned, you have antivirus, you have CCTVs, etc. You have fire safety systems in your facilities, right? And of course, secured data center where you have your data backup, which actually runs as a nerve center of your organization. And in case of any disaster happening, you should also have a disaster recovery setup. Let's say your servers crash, your data center catches fire, or some such thing happens, earthquake, flood, or something. It shouldn't happen that all your data, all your precious data is actually lost. That is why there are disaster recovery mechanisms in place. There are tools and technologies, and of course the governance mechanisms in place that are being used. So all put together, this is a very generic scenario of an IT landscape in a real estate organization. So when I talk about a real estate organization, I'm essentially talking about not the grassroots level ones, because this sector is still an unorganized sector despite all its promises. It is gradually taking shape. Now we are at a stage where as I said, the top rung and the mid-level companies have adopted these technologies. The smaller ones are still lagging behind, but nonetheless, very basic infrastructure exists even with them, either through outsourcing route or in a small manner within the organization. So this is essentially the IT landscape in a realty sector. Now, to what extent? The technology is being used, and how it is being used. There was a study run a couple of years ago. Now the extent, meaning if it is used to a better extent, that means your business potential or your business goals are aligned with the technology that you are using. It has to be in sync in order for you to be delivering optimum productivity. So what has happened is that, they are still not very organized, the real estate companies. As I said, the data is about 2 to 3 years old, these observations. They don't seem to be having a document business strategy, basically. The strategy is there it stays in the boardroom, or it stays with a few of the senior members of the organization, but there is not a guiding document available. So that, based on that, the techie guys or the consulting organizations can chalk out a technology roadmap. This was a situation a few years ago. Now, there are certain firms that are actually recognizing this, and they are actually getting big consulting firms on board to help them shape their technology strategy, basically, because they are recognizing the immense potential that the technology is offering to all other sectors, including real estate. Yeah. But then another limitation was that IT in an organization and the business setup, the business people, they are not aligned with each other, and they have very limited understanding of each other's roles. IT guys always seem to think that without technology nothing moves, or their role is only to maintain the technology and not really get into the business aspects and offer business solutions through their know-how in technology. So their understandings were limited, basically. Now, and of course, because these real estate companies have evolved out of entrepreneurial, urges of people who had money initially, and they are still ownership-driven companies. Most of them. So that is why their understanding of the potential of IT is limited. That is why the investment also is in a limited fashion in the IT setup. Now with the introduction of these consulting organizations and the best practices that people like you and me studied in colleges, etc., there's something called IT metrics, service levels. Like you will see those service levels even when you deal with your internet service provider. They tell you this will happen in 2 hours or 3 hours. If there's an outage, there are service levels assigned to it. But in this scenario, in this sector, the service levels are not linked to business, basically. The business has its urgency, but IT probably is not aware of those urgencies in some cases. So they are not really aligned. They are not really oriented towards it. And technical service levels are basically, cost oriented. They always talk about this budget, this much value, this much cost, but they don't talk about what kind of business it will deliver, right? So that is another area of concern. That is another area that shows us why there is still a lag of adoption of technology in these real estate companies. The interaction, as I mentioned before, between IT and business is just transaction oriented. If my email is down, somebody will come and fix it and goes away. Actually, they are not offering solutions. They are not partners in the business. IT is seen as something that is an expense. So that is why the relationship stays as transaction oriented. But now, as the technology advanced and as there's more awareness happening, younger generation is getting into this sector, who is much more aware, educated. That is why the business IT alignment is gradually being recognized. That is where now, you will see with top and mid-level companies dealing with big four agencies, the likes of PwC, KPMG, E&Y. These are the people who are advising these real estate companies as well. And they are setting up their strategy. They are helping them set their business agenda. And that is why the strategies are now being aligned in a proper manner, at least in bigger places, bigger metropolitans like Pune, Mumbai, and Noida, Gurgaon, etc. You will find companies who are more aware, more focused about leveraging IT for their business. So while this is happening, a few areas that we see are being really utilized. A few technologies are being utilized. digital technology. Each one of us uses digital technology, right? Now, whether it is your Twitter, your Facebook, and your different portals. This is everywhere, right? So now people are using apps. They are searching homes on apps. You have Magic Breaks. You have um, a few others. I'm not able to recall, but yes, there are many property portals available which people search. And at the same, the sellers are also on those portals. They can target different communities. You'll see target based marketing, email marketing happening. Technology driven platforms are being utilized to bring together communities of buyers and sellers. Online exhibitions are also happening. So this is where how the technology is helping these real estate players to reach the market. And at the same, they are also helping the consumers, the customers, to actually get on board. So this is one area which has grown rapidly in last few years, right? Then you would have heard of IoT, for those in those who are technology aware. IoT is Internet of Things, which basically brings together the devices. They can talk to each other. They can take triggers from you. They can, as I mentioned, auto lighting, thermostats, those controls, etc. These are the areas where IoT is helping. IoT is also helping in basically securing your houses, your facilities, those environments. So it's a basically a very useful combination, wherein the sensor equipped devices are being deployed, which pick up digital data that is available, and accordingly make use of it, uh, which results in a intelligent building, as we call smart homes or smart buildings. They are largely empowered by IoT, in the real estate. Like you would have heard of light controls or smart thermostats, wherein the temperature, etc., is fixed as per your desire, as per the preset, levels. Uh, so this is also driving the demand of IT, demand of realty rather, in the market, because customers are now demanding these homes, these facilities, having you know. Um, the facilities which are deployed in smart homes. So customers demanding those smart homes, even in non-residential space. Also, this is of great use. You have your fire alarm systems, you have your fire safety systems, security systems. Um, you have other automation environment, the climate automation system. They are all smartly controlled and used basically by respective consumers. So this is then drones, of course, a very interesting addition of technology in this sector. Now drones can actually virtually show you the things happening in real time. So what happens is that instead of going on a site for visit, you can actually watch everything on your screen through drones, projecting that into your drawing rooms. So you can take a look at the property that you would be interested in, sitting at your home without paying a visit there. So another interesting addition. Then, of course, virtual reality was there for some time, but now with the situation we are in, virtual reality is playing a great role. It shows you immersive 3D views of the properties, and you can actually feel to an extent, what you are getting into. And very important area is AI/ML. In the end of this discussion, towards the end of this discussion, I'll pick up a few use cases that that where AI/ML and business intelligence, these areas can be deployed. Cloud is everywhere. When we talk IT, talk technology, we talk cloud. But in this case, in the area of realty sector, you have lot of documents. As I said, your legal documents, your data, etc., can be stored safely. It can be accessed faster and in a simpler manner. So this helps streamline a lot of things. In terms of BI, in terms of business intelligence, there are many tools that help an individual, help an organization make decisions. The data it generates has a capability of providing intelligent predictions as to what will happen in such cases. If this happens, then what happens? Or it can also be prescriptive, not just descriptive, and you can review your data that the organization churns out and make decision based on that. So this helps, of course, optimize your productivity. These are the use cases that I was talking about. In terms of now, what happens is in some cases, if you are to make decisions, it becomes easy if you deploy business intelligence tools or you make use of AI and ML algorithms. Of course, it's a topic that is very specialized one, but at this moment, it is good to understand that these kind of technologies exist and how they help us in our business. For example, there are cancellations happening your bookings are cancelled. So you can do a demographic or psychographic analysis based on the data that is thrown up by BI tools, right? You can probably bring in the age of a person, the location where the property is, what is his stage of his career, what type of education, and in fact, what kind of launches the competitors have, come out with. Market trends. When I say market trend, it's basically Sensex, Nifty, the city, festival period. No, any of these, or all of these parameters can throw up certain insights, which probably will give you an answer where you can, to an extent, even predict cancellations happening. And accordingly, you can take countermeasures, basically. So this is a good use case, which the companies are actually working on, the realty companies who are at the advanced stage of their IT adoption. Or even collection analysis. Even collection analysis also takes into account these factors, and you can predict defaults and again prescribe measures to counter it, right? Customer preference analysis, wherein you can probably try to understand the behavior of a customer, somebody who's just inquiring superficially, or as they call it in this industry, suspect to prospect. Basically, somebody who's just an basic curious rather. He's inquiring at a very superficial level, but gradually finds interest in the proposition. So, how far it is possible to convert that case, the prospect, to a buyer, basically. So, in customer preference analysis, you can figure out what is he looking for, what are the competitors offering, which demographies, he wants to purchase in. Are we present in those demographies? If not, then what is our sales pitch? We do social data analysis to understand the behavior of the person who's our prospect, and then predict. The model can predict the right time when you can make a contact and try to convert that suspect to prospect. Then you can even prepare models that help you in investment profitability analysis. like rent versus buy decisions, whether one should rent or buy, whether customer is looking to rent or he would buy. Or if he buys, can we also propose to him that we can even offer you rental if you are an investor? So these models can throw up various insights. Yeah. Then what kind of individual assets that he is looking to build over a period of time? His interest areas in terms of investment. Can we really align his interest with our proposition? The model can at least help you understand various behavioral patterns of a customer. Then we can actually make some kind of prescriptions. We can predict. This not only actually applies to a direct customer, it can also be useful for brokers, the sales agents, etc. Then, of course, the buy or rent price analysis model is also one such use case that the industry is looking to deploy, wherein they can figure out the actual valuation at which a property would be interesting to the buyer, so that he is willingly engaging with you. Or in case of a seller, buy or rent or sell. So the models that are deployed are able to actually throw up such outcomes, which you can actually utilize to make your decisions. Or even area-wise, the property pricing, etc., can also be predicted, how the trend is going to move in future, and builders can actually take calls whether to go for investment in those areas immediately or hold on for some time. And for business development, people also they can actually do comparative analysis based on predefined parameters. They can also look at identifying a geography where investment should be done, or we should hold out investing there, or developing new areas, and few other cases wherein the organization would be interested would be spend analytics. How much we are likely to spend, or how much would be the optimum spend on a particular project for us to stay afloat, or say achieve profitability figures as the organization has set out to. Then project cost versus schedule analytics, cost estimation analytics. These are some of the areas that would be useful for the realty sector to look at, where IT will play a major role in actually, lending a greater value for them. Now, all this can happen only when we have our IT systems, IT environment rightly aligned to the business goals.
Sir, sorry to interrupt you.
Yes.
One question comes from chat box.
Okay.
That you said that investment is done in different sectors, and especially optimum investment is done depending on the sector which is growing. So what is your view? Means right now the commercial sector is growing, or individual home, this type of sector is growing?
Well, as I said right at the outset, I'm not a real estate business guy. I'm basically a technology person. But yes, having worked in the industry, I can say that even commercial sector in bigger cities is not a bad investment. Only thing is the organizations are basically scaling down their footprints. If you look at IBM or say HSBC and various such organizations, they are trying to consolidate into smaller places. Even my previous organization, we actually decided to scale down. So it's not that commercial investment is growing by leaps and bounds, but of course everybody has turned conservative. Even in a residential sector these days, if you notice, the days of bigger apartments are behind us. Now most of the builders are concentrating on a smaller units, basically because they are more affordable, and people are not really looking at spending huge amount in an apartment. So the growth is there, but it has slowed down. Talking about commercial, again, the scale down has happened, but it is definitely a short-term setback. In the longer term, this market is going to bounce back. That's what I gather from my business friends.
Yes, sir. May I take one more question related to previous slide?
Yeah, sure. We go back.
So one question is that you told us about the smart home in future.
Right.
So this is smart home. Do you think that it will be implemented especially in the urban areas and not in rural areas, or it will be uniformly spread over the globe?
Well,
So-
uniformity. Take India as a case. Now, in urban areas, yes, it is catching up. Talking about big cities, as I mentioned in the outset, that in the metropolitan cities, it is already there to a major extent. All the new builders are actually looking at implementing some kind of smart home technology. It is catching up, and gradually it will go to smaller places also, because the cost of implementing this kind of infrastructure is going low by the day. As the cost is going down, more adoption is going to happen. So it will also be available in smaller cities and who knows, even rural areas. Worldwide, yes, this is a concept which has caught on, and it is new technologies are being developed, implemented, and it is going to go up only. So you move to, incidentally, this is my last slide of the talk, and then we can take further questions. Now, as I was telling that, IT and business are two areas that have to talk to each other more frequently, that have to align their respective objectives in order for an organization, any organization, but here we are talking about real estate, because it has its own set of limitations. So this is a transformation roadmap. When I say transformation, basically it means transformation is a big ticket change or a major change to actually achieve productivity. Or you can say it is a process of identifying weak areas and initiate enterprise-wide, meaning organization-wide improvement steps. So it definitely means radical change in the prevailing processes and adopt a new level of thinking. So it's a complete overhaul. So if you are doing a complete overhaul, it is important that you have a framework in place through which you can achieve this objective. So this is what I have suggested, that we should have a framework, and we go stepwise from preparatory phase to the transformation phase. So what happens is you have to have a governance team that looks at the entire portfolio of applications. When I say applications, it means IT tools and technologies that are available in the organization. They should be aware of it. They should be able to administer through a common set of practices that everyone in the organization understands. This is how I should work. Take an example, a very, very basic example of how email is to go. What email ID you should have, first name dot last name at xyz.com, right? So there has to be a common template, common practice of even putting email names, because even if I know your first name, I should be able to reach you without even remembering your email ID. So this is one good area, although it doesn't directly get you business. What I mean is, this is a more refined way of communication, and it is in line with the standards prevalent everywhere. This was just one example. But then the governance team has to provide support, guidance to people who are working in this area within the company. They have to assess and they have to suggest improvement measures. and they have to ensure that there is effective communication between all the stakeholders, between business and technology, right? That is why that is how the business and technology will achieve an alignment. Then, of course, the step is there'll be a role definition. There'll be people who will be available in the team. There's a application review board which actually reviews all the applications that are there, IT applications in the organization, and prepare a catalog. And then they will actually also discover which are the areas that are missing. So that is application discovery. Now, coming to the assessment phase is more deep dive into it. They prepare a catalog of what we have, something like what I showed you in the second slide, that generic applications in a realty company are these. So they will catalog the applications available. So it is not just applications; it is infrastructure as well, and they will map it. They will map it each and every function of the organization. Like within finance, let's say a finance department also has accounts. So do we have something that helps accounting? Do we have something that helps overall, finance department? What about the investor relations? Do we have something that actually caters to various kind of MIS reports from investment side or from sales side or expenditure? All those things. Or do we have adequate infrastructure and tools that will help me design my properties? If I'm working on a residential one, do I have really people who can manage these applications? Do we have applications that really deliver value? Sometimes what happens is let's say a laptop is available at 40,000 rupees, but then people would also go and buy a Microsoft Surface, which is 1.5 lakhs. Both serve the same purpose for a common man, for a layman user, I should say. Like you need not have an iPhone of 1.5 lakhs in order to make a call to me, right? You can do it through a Nokia 3310 also. What I mean is, sometimes, often, the spend on technology is misdirected. So there, the value is not delivered, but the money goes away. So that is why application value assessment is the area that in assessment phase you should look at. Where the right is the money is going in the right places. Is your budget actually being rightly used? That is where the value assessment has to be done of an application, and an evaluation of areas that are missing, where we can put what, so that those areas also well covered and become productive within the organization. That is what assessment does. And then we do action planning, in which the prioritization happens, and we plan what goes first, what do I have to do first. Now this is in line with my business objectives, my short-term, mid-term and long-term goals. If let's say next year I want to bring out a public issue, but I do not have a good ERP system to throw up numbers to me, or to satisfy my investors or my consultants who are helping me bring out that issue. So I need to prioritize that kind of application, that kind of a tool, so that I am ready for the market. These kind of things. So it has to be strategically aligned. The investment has to be strategically aligned for my to achieve my goals. That is what action planning is done. And based on the planning, we do execution. Within that, of course, the budget sanctioning and approval from the authorities, the board, etc., will come in, and then the execution is planned. Execution is nothing but what we call as projects in IT. So we do a lot of IT projects. They run in parallel or sequential. This all depends on the timeline that the management has offered us, or the budget the management has offered us, and how we are aligning it to the calendar of our strategic goals to be achieved, the milestones that we have set. So execution happens, and then the outcome is verified. What we had set out to achieve, are we looking like achieving this? So we go back to the numbers that we had actually worked out, in order to verify if we are reaching there, if we are close to that, or there are any corrective measures. And continuous monitoring and periodic review is essential. That goes on throughout the life cycle, actually. At every stage, you are monitoring it continuously. You are verifying the outcomes. You are reviewing it periodically. You are bringing in auditors from outside. You are bringing in people who have expertise in these areas. Consult them, ask them for suggestions, and try to improve the applications. And this is a continuous cyclic process. And gradually, with time, this matures. And once it achieves, decent level of maturity, is when you can really say that your company is completely aligned with your business and IT objectives. That is where your productivity would actually see a sizable jump, and that is the intent of any business enterprise. So this is how the transformation roadmap would come up. I think I am done. This was my last slide. I'm now open to questions.
Yes, sir. So one question from Disha. I will read it as it is, sir.
Okay.
A very good morning, sir. My name is Diksha. I am from Singrauli, MP. My question is to you, sir. As you have mentioned, real estate is the second largest employment generation sector. Still, India is facing 9.17% of unemployment. So any specialization is required to enter into real estate so the people get employment. Please, sir.
Okay, so there are specialized institutes that are teaching you even MBA, right, in real estate, and there are areas other than the specialized function. One of them happens to be the one which I was part of, the IT. So IT has a major role to play, as I try to establish in this session. So you can also be one of the IT professionals. You can also be one of the professionals who handles investment for the organization. This sector is dealing with a lot of FDI. I've also mentioned in my slide that there are number of foreign investors lining up to invest in India's real estate sector because the potential it throws. So you can also be one of those who helps your company deal with these partners to bring in investments. Indian good or top Indian real estate companies are now looking outwards. They are setting up projects. They are building sites, infrastructure, etc. outside the country as well. So you can be one who can deal with such cases, such opportunities. So there are tremendous opportunities. Specialize. You need not be a project person, as in the form of a construction engineer or something. But if you are a project management professional, there are takers in IT. I'm sorry, there are takers in real estate. It is a misconception that project management is only an IT subject. It is not. If you look at the Western countries, most of these project management certified people are actually sought after in infrastructure, real estate, construction sector. Those who build bridges are also project managers, right? So that is where you can find yourself to be gainfully employed.
Thank you, sir. One more question from Nidhi. Sir, can you please let us know that how is sales and IT relate to each other?
How is sales?
Sales and IT.
Now, sales as in what? Sales in real estate sector?
Sir, in overall, I can say, or I will as per my understanding, I will convert this question like this. Jobs in real estate sector, if we are talking about, then as the digitalization is going on very fast, like AI/ML is going on for taking decisions and all. So whether it will affect the jobs, means availability of jobs in real sector, or it will give a boom to the means a student for entering into this sector.
It will. Basically, you know what? If you have knowledge about these tools, I'm not saying technologies because you are not supposed to be creating those technologies, but you are going to be users for your organization to actually help you make decisions. So IT aids you in CRM, right? Customer relationship management. I'm talking of sales area, right? ERP also has sale and procurement modules that you are going to be used besides the digital footprint that your company will be having. As I explained, people are using portals, people are using decision making tools through various homegrown applications also. There are number of applications that will help you actually generate customer data, make decisions based on that. I've shown you a few use cases wherein certain AI ML algorithms are utilized to actually harness the customer data and try to reach the target audience. That is where IT helps people selling their product, even in this sector. In fact, VR, drones are also aimed towards making a sales pitch to the customer. Even that helps. So, and people who are at home with this technology, people who have some exposure with these technologies are obviously at the right place.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Sir, you have mentioned in previous answer that the project management specialist, this profile will help the non-IT or non-technical guys to enter into this sector. So is there any specific project management course is there which is especially for the real estate, or a generalized project management course or profile will help to enter into this real estate sector?
Well, I guess there are special courses also that are focused towards project management in construction industry. Some institutes also take that, but a generic course, a PMP, for example, is one of the most sought after or one of the most visible project management accreditation certifications. So I have a few friends who did PMP to be able to qualify to work in a construction industry, of course, outside India, Middle East and Europe. So this certification definitely helps people who want to manage projects in construction sector, because they are huge, big projects, multi-million-dollar projects, probably in value terms more than what an IT project would be. So yes, if you manage to get an exposure to project management practices in real estate sector, it helps. Otherwise, also if you are a PMP certified, you can still try and get into this sector.
Thank you, sir. One question is that in real estate, especially in sales, who are in marketing and sales, there is a high pressure for sales and achieving targets, and sometimes it is very difficult also to achieve that target. And your colleagues who are a bit experienced, they achieve it easily. So what is your suggestion to the new entrants who will enter into this real estate sector, or means how they should deal this situation?
What I said is that, there's nothing technical about it. Try to be better at your work, try to have better network, better connections, better relationship with the customers. Try to be good with numbers. You should have numbers at your fingertips. For that, IT can help you actually. You can use various CRM outputs, various reports. I mean, what I'm saying is it is purely an individual specific pursuit, right? There's nothing that a technology can give you those outputs that you can make use of. So the guy who's able to derive better, inferences from the data available will do a better job. But end of the day, sales is a very interpersonal kind of a vocation as such. So it is not that having technology will make you conquer everything. You should be able to make use of it at the right place. You should be able to churn numbers that are useful to you and make use of those inferences that technology offers.
Thank you, sir. Next question is that now in real estate, the investor or the builder is investing more on which sector? Means on technology, or he is trying to focus on the better quality of construction or the better quality of sales force who are equipped with AI, ML and knowledge about the technology. So where they are focusing, or and add on to this, in after 5 years, where will be the more opportunities in the construction side or in the means technology side, or means what is your overview over that, sir?
See, basically, if you're talking from a business perspective, uh, a real estate player
Sir,
will obviously focus
sir,
abroad.
sir, I'm talking about the job opportunity, especially means in which sector you find means more job opportunities. Please, sir, continue.
Okay. So job opportunities, there's no comparison between construction and IT because IT is a global sector, right? Having studied in your institute, people can find jobs globally, everywhere, wherever there's potential, right? If they are technology oriented or if they are looking at technology as a career option, construction would still be limited. So there's no comparison as such. Technology would always win, because technology is prevalent, it is everywhere. It is not only in construction sector, it is in every part of life. So you'll have more job opportunities in technology sector. In different areas, you need not be a techie, mind you. You can be from a marketing side. You can be a good engagement lead, customer relationship person. You can be a business analyst who understand various business functions and actually get into some big IT company handling big ticket jobs, managing your customers, interacting with them. You can be a salesperson in an IT company. You can be a project manager in an IT company. There are multiple options available if you're talking about IT related, not necessarily technology jobs, but jobs in the IT sector. Now compare this with construction. It is, despite all its advances recently, and despite the fact that it remains one of the largest employers in the country, you still have limitations, isn't it? You cannot compare job potential in construction real estate sector with IT sector. IT sector would always win hands down because IT is a service, not a product. Whereas construction sector is offering you product, which is only one product, or say limited offerings. But IT is everywhere, right?
Thank you, sir, for clearing the doubt that means product and services are totally different. So product can be at one place, but services are all over the
Yeah. So these services are global in nature. These services require people from various specializations. Not that you need to be an IT engineer to work in an IT company. You are a marketing graduate. You can be useful in the sales side, pre-sales. You can sell IT products. You can engage with customers. If you are good at communicating, you can be front-ending for the technology teams because techies need not be necessarily good at communicating. You need people who can interface with the customer, translating the customer requirements to your back-end technology team so that the product is developed as per the desires of the customer. So you play a very important role there as a bridge between a customer and a technical team. So all you management graduates fit very well over there.
Yes, sir. The next question is that means it's related to data only. So, sir, kindly explain what are the needs of big data in real estate. So, in the context of taking decisions or in the context of generating revenue.
Okay, so when you take decisions, essentially it is the end goal is to generate revenue only, right? because you're running business. Big data, now huge amount of data that was not being used properly or handled by either computing power or by human is now available through various channels. You can download from various portals. You can download from various, let's say even exhibition sites or hospitality industry. Data is available from everywhere. Now, the huge amount of data deluge basically is leading to some kind of it is flooding your systems as such. Now, how to make useful decisions from whole lot of data is what big data analysis is all about. So you have to pick out the useful data for various relevances and actually analyze that data. Once you are able to bring it to a shape wherein you can actually make sense of that data is the big data analysis. There are various tools that do this job for you, and then you pick up that data and actually run your algorithms of BI using AI, ML, and these technologies and make decisions. So that is how it is going to help you. So big data is useful for all sectors. Now, why it is called big data? Because it's really big. It is so huge that you will not be able to actually utilize it unless you bring it to a shape, unless you define your use of the data and take out only that chunk of data and then work on it. They call it data massaging, data cleansing, and all those areas. And then you run your algorithms through these technologies, AI, ML technologies, and make decisions once you get the analytics that you wanted. And of course, once you're spot on, obviously it will help you generate your business, realize more revenue.
Thank you, sir. Now we will take last three questions. Okay. The one question is how you relate information technology with logistic management. This is a question from Ganesh.
So Ganesh, it is basically SCM, supply chain management, is the logistics. Technology again plays a vital role there. You know, just in time and all, it used to be earlier, right? Now, any organization, let's say any distribution centric organization, you have a field force who requires products to be delivered to the secondary market. Maybe secondary market is basically your let's say if it's a pharma company, to your pharmacy stores, from distributor dealers to pharmacy stores. The stock has to come from your depot somewhere. The depot has to get replenishment from your central storage. The central storage needs to know, how much to be ordered to the factory. So the whole chain basically has to work in a smooth, uninterrupted fashion. This is just example. So, and then when the manufacturer starts getting these orders backwards, he needs to know if I am to produce this much, what kind of inputs will I need and when will I need various material. He has to place orders backwards to the suppliers of those materials, who in turn have to know when do I have to send out these supplies, when do I have to start manufacturing it so that I meet that particular date. So all these things are logistics, right? It has to be in place. Now, in order for this to be in place, again, your tools and technologies would help. They'll work backwards. They'll actually, from the last mile, they'll pick up inputs and gradually push in the system from where the algorithms would work, where all the calculations happen. Will tell the factory when to place an order so that I fulfill the demand of my person who's asking for it, and they place an order. Similarly, the factories who will actually be sending the raw material would also need to know when do I start manufacturing, how much do I stock, because if my stock is perishable, then I'll have only so much of time available. I cannot store it longer. So all these aspects, imagine working in a global environment managing these manually is not going to be an easy job. You have to line up logistics, which means transportation, which means people who load, unload, which means people who will do the quality checks. There are so many things. You have to also factor in the the transportation challenges that might occur. Some strike might happen, some vehicle may break down, and similar many such cases. So all these things are built into a system as a intelligent input. That is where technology will play its role, because it will help you make a decision. End of the day, human has to make a decision, but technology will help you as a tool to refine your processes. That is how I mentioned those continuous improvement measures, regular reviews happening. You are continuously feeding your system with corrective measures, so that you all the time you go on improving. And this is how technology will happen in logistics.
Thank you, sir. Sir, now we will take a short question and short answers. Means, what is your view in one line? So you already mentioned that disaster recovery system is very important in IT. So generally it is in-house or it is handled by consultancy?
Generally, it is big companies have it in-house, but you cannot run the whole thing on your own. There are always experts available. You will always need people who know better than you, because that is their bread and butter. So you cannot have it in-house all the time. But yes, big IT companies will have their own setup in-house. Otherwise, there are people who can help you with it. If you are a user company, talking about real estate, yes, you will need people who are helping you out as consultants.
Thank you, sir. And you said that the investment profitability model means a student can generate for whether the client prefer rent or to buy a house. So what is your view? The customers, means as you are already in the data and you have already touch with this. So what is your view that the customers are diverting towards purchasing or prefer to have a rented home?
Current scenario, I'm talking about very local setup, very local environment. When I talk to people in this sector, they tell me rentals are not happening anymore. In a place like Pune, those who had rented out houses have gone back to their places because they are working from home. So they don't want to spend on rent. People who are picking up houses, purchasing houses, are those who need it right now. If it is a need, they'll go for it. Otherwise, they will defer their decision. But comparing rent versus purchase, rentals have definitely reduced by even 80%, I am told.
Thank you, sir. So student will have a clear idea that there is a huge scope in real estate, as the people are preferring to purchase the home. So if they will purchase the company need expertise or executives for selling those.
Yeah, definitely. Even for renting out, you need people who will sell that rental service.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. And just a last question. What means one line, or in short, you just tell our students, means what are the major problems they have to face? Means they are not the problems, but major issues they have to face when they enter into a reality sector for few years. Once this phase is passed, it is a smooth run for them. So which are the major things they have to face when they will enter into real estate sector?
So right now it's a tough market. It's very difficult making a sales pitch, because, as I said, it's a capital investment. It's not that you are buying a pen or even a two-wheeler, right? So people are deferring their decisions. So it is going to be a challenge to crack a deal. The buyer is very cautious now. So the ticket sizes have reduced. It's not that the houses worth crores are selling like like they used to 3 years ago. So it has gone slow. So that will be a challenge to stay persistent, work on relationships, and hope that if not now, sometime in near future, that can click. that can come their way, the deal. So it'll be a challenge right now, definitely, to sell properties. That's the basic thing, right? And maybe if everything goes fine in a couple of years, I think the market should bounce back and people will start enjoying their work there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir, for covering most of the IT related sectors. Most importantly, disaster recovery system, IoT, virtual reality, and where the smart home will be in future, and artificial intelligence, machine learning, cloud, business intelligence. Means almost you have covered all the IT related sectors and their relation directly with the real estate sector. So thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time. And your suggestions will surely help our students to choose a specific sector, or when they will enter into the specific sector, which are the challenges they have to face. So
Surely.
thank you very much, sir, for your valuable time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. You can reach out to me anytime if your students feel that they need some inputs. I'm available. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Have a good
Thanks
day.
a lot. Thank you everyone for attending this. Thanks a lot and wish you all the best in your next 2 years and beyond that in your careers. Hope you'll all do good, do well. Bye for now.
Yes, sir. Bye, sir.
Bye.